Very much for joining us tonight for this very special edition of our AJA Wednesday Weekly Zoom. Tonight, we commemorate October 7, a date that is forever etched into our memory. We will have the chance tonight to hear from a hero, a woman who was on the ground October 7, who was inspirational in the face of adversity and in a terribly tragic situation. We are so blessed to have her with us this evening. We would like to thank all of you who have joined us tonight because we know that this is an important time for you, and we appreciate the fact that you are here tonight with us, joining us online, watching on Facebook, listening on JA, watching the recordings, and being present to commemorate what is such an important day. I'd like to hand over to our partners for tonight. We would like to thank the Australian Friends of United Hatzalah of Australia of Israel. They have joined us for this special event tonight, and they have made it possible for us to have this incredible speaker. Would you please welcome to introduce our speaker, the Executive Director, Daria Rubinstein.
Hi, everyone. I'm so honored to be involved tonight and to be able to share this with all of you. I first just want to say thank you so much to the AJA and specifically Robert and David for organizing this, and to Neil for the incredible graphics. It's been pretty amazing to see the way that you work so seamlessly, and it's lovely to be able to collaborate. So we're super grateful. Just a little bit about me. As you know, my name is Daria. I am the executive director of the Australian Friends of United Hatzalah of Israel. It's a bit of a mouthful. I'm currently actually in my hometown of Toronto, Canada. So it's bright and early for me. So we've got kind of 3 different time zones going on, which is fun. And before I introduce Linor, I just wanted to mention that Linor is one of 1,800 of our 7,000 volunteers who responded on October 7th. So if you think about that, you think about 1,800 people who knew that they were potentially under fire, going just to help people, just for the sake of saving lives. And that's really what United Hatzalah is. It's all about life saving. Our organization of 7,000 volunteers, every single day we have people going about their regular lives. We've got doctors, we've got garbage people, we've got computer engineers, anything across Israeli society. We have volunteers from all across the board, and all they want to do is save lives. And we like to think of them as our angels in orange, because we've got I'm actually wearing one of our jackets today, but they always have these orange vests. And whenever people in Israel see that, they know that help is coming. It's always there in less than 3 minutes. And actually right now, our response time in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem is 90 seconds. Before I hand it off to Linor, one more note. Before we started the webinar, I asked Linor, how are you doing? I know the past couple of days have probably been really difficult for you. And she reminded me that this is her everyday, this is her reality. So it's the anniversary, but really it's every day before and every day after. We're still in this situation, and the memories from that day, they stay with her. So she'll be able to share with you a little bit more. But I just thought that was a good reminder for us, about the people who put their lives on the line on this day, and how that affects mental health, and that we're still living in this situation. So with that, Linor, she's one of our angels in orange. I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Daria, and thank you, everyone. I would like to ask all of you just to kindly ask me whatever you like. I promise that I will be with my, open heart and answer anything that might interest in you in professional way, personal way. Welcome, you're welcome to ask me anything you want. And thank you for the opportunity to meet all of you. Sorry, this is my communication. This is how it started, 6:30 a.m. This is an example of what I'm hearing. As a commander of United, one of the commanders at United Hatzalah, I receive on my radio every situation that happened in Israel, every terror situation or rockets. 6:30, this is what I'm receiving, that rockets had been launched to Israel. My guess is that it's only jihad, because 6:30 is too early. No one is in the street yet. Like, so many few people is outside, but a lot of them still inside, home, protected. Every room at the south have his own shelter. So I guess that it's once again the jihad playing with the buttons, and the Iron Dome will manage that. But then another wave, we call it waves. Another wave entering, and another wave is entering, and they saying that more rockets being launched to Israel, and I'm starting just to count the minutes and then the seconds in between, so I can just understand that this is not the jihad, this is the Hamas, because Hamas capability to launch faster than the jihad. So I know by counting the minutes if we are dealing with Hamas or jihad, which is very different militian and terror organizations. And when it's Hamas, then I immediately understand that it's not only rockets to the south of Israel, because no one is on the street. They are not going to achieve any kind of victory picture of people running to the shelters in the middle of the street. So they might have some other reason to do so. My guess at the beginning is that they're going to just start another operation of missiles and rockets to Israel. Therefore, they're going to launch to the area of Tel Aviv, of the center of Israel, also Jerusalem. I have no idea about terrorists entering Israel. I'm putting on my IDF uniform. I'm still on my reserve duty at the International Defense Authority. It's under the Ministry of Defense. And I'm going to the dispatch, the headquarters of United Hatzalah, just to start and assist to make the first gathering information and data and understand the situation and just make the right decisions for the people on the ground, up until the IDF will call me. I immediately, 8:30 I was here, I immediately understood the situation, because we had three different type of data, of intelligence information. The first one was the civilians. Civilians was calling us and tells about shooting on the street, people who's been injured, people that calling us that their beloved one been murdered, and please take us from here. The second type of information is from the volunteers of United Hatzalah. Over 7,000 volunteers spread all over Israel. So we have volunteers living in the south, at the kibbutzim, at the cities of Sderot, Ofakim, Netivot, and they're telling us about what's going on in their own city around them. The second type of volunteers is those ones that are on duty. When we have rockets that being launched to the south, we have certain volunteers that knows that they are going to help and assist at the city that they are just located in front. They know, like for example, David Bader, he's responsible to assist Sderot. He lives in Ramat Gan, but whenever we have rockets, David knows that he's just driving to Sderot with ambulance or ambucar. He knows the streets, he knows the city like a person who lives there. So when they are going down south, 7:30, they already went outside from home. They saw what happened on the main roads. David calling us and he's telling me, I see 40 bodies on the road. And I was, what? 40 people killing, being murdered? What are you speaking about? Where they came from? People, they have shelters in their home. Why did they drive? We didn't know about the Nova Festival. And we open his camera, and this is what we witnessed the situation. I just wanna, while I'm speaking with you, I'll just share with you a short video, and you can just hear me out. But this is it starts with the cameras of the ambulance. We had ambulances spread all over. This is from Ashdod, this is from Bnei Brak, this is from Tel Aviv, this one is from Abu Ghosh, an Arab village, this is Jerusalem, this is 6:28. People just walking to synagogue, birds are, just and it's like a normal day in Israel, and this is how it started, and then you can just see how we moved. Everything is from the cameras of the ambulances. It was a very hard and difficult day. I was one of the commanders. 11:30, I was already there, establishing the field headquarters. And then I was connecting with the IDF commanders, telling them, where do you guys need us? We entered inside. We had those ones who was brave enough to enter inside and to bring out as many injured as we could to the hospitals. I also entered inside. The first moment I entered, this is what I saw: cars on fire, bodies on the road, no one who could be saved. The smoke is something that we heal almost 48 hours. Policemen trying to stop us, but we don't listen to them. Rockets, so every time we just need to lay down. Helping and assisting the IDF to entering. Some of them, as you can see in the middle of this, just didn't have any protective gear, helmets and vests. They just came and fight, and we just, bring them. So you might see IDF soldiers with United Hatzalah vest and helmets. We were still with our tzitzit. People who's on the way to the synagogue just left everything and came down south with their tzitzit, and you can see, just stop us, but we don't listen. We just continue. It was our mission is to save lives before it will be too late. And I can tell you that we saved so many people, but unfortunately, we weren't enough. If we had more volunteers, if we had more vehicles, we could save more people. This kind of massacre is nothing that we can compare to. We just weren't enough. You saw right now an IDF soldier with. The second step was during the night. After I entered Kibbutz Be'eri and I saw the houses on fire, I understood that the second wave of the survivors will be families which their house been burned and they managed to escape. So we need to assist them with the oxygen And we just opened here in this field a field clinic with so many hundreds of oxygen tanks, and we start treating small kids, mothers, adults who couldn't breathe, just couldn't breathe. No one who's been there will never forget what he witnessed. No one. Me neither. I don't need the anniversary day of October 7 to remind me that. I live the memories, the smellings, the taste of the blood every day. Every day, every night, I can say. During the days I'm busy. The nightmares during the night is something that still existing to a lot of us, including me, by the way. The PTSD is something that now we are a new generation of soldiers, of fighters for life that need to learn how to live with PTSD. And it's a process, it's a healing process, and none of us, including me, don't feel any second thought about being there. If it happened again, I'll definitely go and try to save the lives that we saved again and again and again, no matter the personal price that I need to pay now. Because this is our obligation as Jewish, to be the light of the nations and to stay, focusing doing good, not to think about only myself. I need to think about my people, my community, the citizens of Israel. Not only Jewish, by the way. Over there, we had Bedouins, we had Christians, and we had Muslims who came down south to save people. So if we wouldn't work on creating a new, better world, it wouldn't happen. And this is our mission, just to build a bridge that's uniting everyone. This is about United Hatzalah. And this is why I'm here. My mission is to save others, and I'll do it again and again. And if you have any questions, then.
Thank you so much, Linor. We'll cut to our president of the AJA, Dr. David Adler, if he'd like to come on, please.
Okay, am I muted?
No, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. I'll just actually before I show what's coming up in the near future, I want to ask Linor. I saw a video you did with CNN where you actually talked about entering some of the houses, entering the kibbutzim, seeing some of the victims, and I'd like you to tell our group a little of what you actually saw on the day when you went there, when you got close to the victims, if you're able to. Is that possible?
Yes, it is. By the way, when I had this interview, I was just upset because it was a period of time that they started to say that we are liars, that we are just, it's our imagination and it didn't happen. And I spoke with Jack Tapper that I want to make this interview in English. I don't mind about Hebrew because in Israel we know what happened to us, but the people all over the world need to understand what happened to us. And I want to give my testimony. And I didn't remember that moment with this little girl. Jack Tapper questions, just I had so many black spots in my memory, and his questions, he guided me through to memorize everything step by step, and suddenly it came out, and I was just, I break down during the interview. It it was the Shaldag, a very elite unit, the Shaldag commander, that asked us to go to the Yellow Gate of Be'eri. And I told him, what are you speaking about? Be'eri, you are still fighting inside. And he told me, yes, but we have this very short moment. I don't know how much we can just, keep it, but we push down to the back line of the houses in the kibbutz all the terrorists. So we are still fighting, yes, but we have this, opportunity to bring out as many injured people now while we are busy with the terrorists at the back line of the kibbutz. And I told him, okay, I'm coming. So we are coming. I asked Moshe Weitzman, who I sent him to the Nova Festival to see if anyone survived. It was already 5:30. I told him, Moshe, I need you to come to the Yellow Gate of the kibbutz. You're going to command this area. And he told me, what are you speaking about? I never command. I don't know how to do it. And don't worry, I'm coming over. I'll speak with you. I guide you through. You can do it. And I asked 5 ambulances to come to the Yellow Gate. I entered to the vehicle, the IDF commander vehicle, thinking that he's going to just drop me off at the Yellow Gate. So I'll establish the coordination and everything there. But he entered inside to bring more injured outside. So the car is open, and I understand that I'm not at the Yellow Gate. I'm inside a war zone. Houses were still on fire. The sound was anything that anyone can imagine. It's rockets above my head, our head, and the Iron Dome exploding them. The boom is like something that you have this, voice. The RPG, grenades, weapons from all kinds, shooting all over, and this is what we are hearing. We cannot hear each other. We were yelling and doing like this with our hands, so we can just notify that someone need help. They called me to a very tiny student house. They grabbed inside a soldier who's been injured in his stomach, hand, and leg. They perform some kind of improvised tourniquet with a belt on his leg, and they just keep pushing with a towel on his stomach. So I performed the first trauma treatment, just put special bandages into his stomach, created a more effective tourniquet on his leg, and he was unconscious. I told him, take him immediately to the car. He need helicopter ASAP. I thought that I'm going out immediately to the car, but then a soldier told, I see a boy there. I see a boy over there inside the house. The door was opened, and he saw a little boy, a young boy, inside a home. And I ran to the house, and the commander saved me. He just, one step before I entered the house, he just pulled me back from my, vest, and they put a grenade at the entering of the house. They had so much time to do any scam, to plan and to put, just to kill whoever going to save the others. So we just, we jump we jump above, and the kid was traumatized. He was just freezing like this, and he was just keep saying again and again, my parents died, my parents died, my parents died, my parents died. He didn't even take a moment to breathe in between. And I know how to release people from that kind of situation in trauma event, in terror event, but it takes time. And at that moment, I understand that he has pulse and he's breathing because he's speaking. So I just asked the soldiers, grab him out as he is. He didn't even understand that people is just, taking him. He just remained as a stone, as a rocket. And we took him to the vehicle, and I was just going to the vehicle, to the IDF vehicle, and I saw in the side of my eye a little girl lying on the grass. And I ran to her, but it was her last breathings. She lost a lot of blood, too many hours. She didn't have from the elbow down. So I just stayed with her, just doing like this in her hair, so she wouldn't be alone at her last moment. I had a closure. I met the family, the uncles of this girl. Her parents been murdered at the shelter of the house. They shot their heads, and she managed to escape from the window. And by the angle, they understood that they shot her while she was running away from the window of the house, and no one could save her. I went to their grave, the mother, the father, and their daughter, to pray for their soul. I go out immediately with the IDF. I ask for helicopter to be prepared for the soldier. I know they took him to Hadassah Hospital in Jerusalem, and he survived. His name is Daniel, and he survived. He's still in combat shock. I'm still praying for his mental health. And then I continue to another station and another location. On my way, when I went out from Be'eri, I called my sister. I told her, please take care of my daughters, Shoam and Tahel, if anything will happen to me. Because after Be'eri, I realized the risk. After I almost stepped, on a grenade, I realized that I might end my life while I'm trying to save others. So I just make this short phone call. She didn't want to answer me. She didn't want to say nothing. It was very hard for her, obviously. But I didn't have a doubt about going back home. I decided at that moment that I need to stay here, and I need to do my best, understanding the risk.
Amazing. I think you've just given us a little bit of understanding, Linor, and we're very grateful, but I don't think we can ever truly understand what you've seen and what you've done. We'll open it up to questions in a moment, but I'll just very briefly take a 1-minute break from the event and explain one or two things that at the end of the event, anyone here, if you're not yet an active supporter of AJA, please go to the website jewishassociation.org.au. Make sure you've signed up as a member, make a donation if you're able to, and make sure you're following our social media, Facebook, X, whatever you like. We are planning our major annual fundraiser, and the way the charity platform works is you line up your larger donors in advance as matches. I will be one of the people putting my hand in my pocket personally to support the work that we're doing for the community in Israel. And if there's anyone here who thinks that they could also join as a matcher, please be in touch with Tennille or Robert or me, and we'll work that out with you. And the next 2 weeks, the Wednesdays coincide with Sukkot, and as an organisation that respects the Jewish holidays, we won't be holding events. We'll resume the program on the Wednesday of 30th October. So back to you, Tennille.
Thank you. I see in the chat someone, Barry, has written, "I am weeping as I watch," and I think that sentiment really echoes what everyone's feeling tonight. Just before we go to questions, I think it's important that we go back to Daria just to talk a little bit more about the Australian Friends of United Hatzalah, the work we're doing in Australia, and how we can support. I think this is a very important aspect. So to you, please.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tennille, and thank you, Linor. I know it's difficult to talk about, so I really appreciate you opening up, and we'll have some other questions. And I already saw a great question that was asked in the chat. So just in terms of supporting United Hatzalah of Israel, an important distinction is that there are local Hatzalahs all over the world, and they do incredible work. United Hatzalah of Israel is special to Israel. All of our volunteers, I don't know if I mentioned, and Linor touched on this, actually come from different backgrounds. So we have men, women, Jews, Muslims, Druze, Christians, you name it. And they all come together and they interact in situations that maybe they otherwise wouldn't. So you have, a lot of on the ground work between people from different parts of society who are helping each other out. In terms of supporting, first of all, if you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to me. My email is Daria, Darya, at israelrescue.org. And if you can't remember that, that's okay, because Robert and David both have my email. So, they'll be able to refer you to me. As well, we have an incredible website, israelrescue.org. And you'll be able to make donations in Australian dollars and receive tax receipts. We're really excited because within the past year, we were actually able to get, or actually now almost 2 years, we were able to get charitable status, which makes a really big difference, of course. So if you go to the website, you'll be able to actually see we have specific items that you can donate, all the way from an EpiPen up to an ambulance. So we have a very wide range of things that you can donate. And one of the, some of the feedback that we get from our supporters is that it's incredible to see exactly where the support is going. So, if you donate a defibrillator, let's say, you will actually get updates about defibrillators being used and stories from our team because they speak to our volunteers regularly to collect those stories. So you'll have a real understanding of the impact that you're making. And before I hand it off to Tennille again to moderate for the questions, I just wanted to mention that United Hatzalah was the first organization, on the ground on October 7th, and one of the only ones. So when they went in, they didn't have, they only had their own ambulances. We only had our own, personal vehicles. A lot of our volunteers were transporting people in their own personal vehicles because we just didn't have enough ambulances. And in Linor's video, there was a scene with a helicopter landing. And our director of operations, Dove Maisel, he was actually recently in Australia, and he was able to talk about this a little bit. But one of my favorite things to talk about from that day is the Israeli chutzpah, because he got a call from the health ministry saying there's no way that you are sending helicopters down there, and he just hung up the phone and he sent those helicopters down there, and because of that, lives were saved. And then the IDF was actually able to use the landing pad that they had sourced for themselves. So it's just, it's so inspiring to know that United Hatzalah, and we can talk about the story of how it was founded another time, but it was founded on a little bit of chutzpah. And so we still have that in us, which is a really important tool in Israeli society. So thank you so much. And again, if you have any questions for me, it's daria@israelrescue.org. Thanks, Tennille.
Thank you. And Daria will put some links in the chat as well as contact details. We'll go to Viviana if you'd like to unmute, please. Have you unmuted?
No, you need to unmute.
Done. I just unmuted. Thank you for that. I won't take up too much time. I want to understand how if you do work with organisations such as Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders, they are sitting in our malls. I'm in Australia at the moment. Every time I go to the local mall, Westfield or Shopping Town, there's always a table asking for donations, even suggesting that they're working in the Middle East. So I want to hear from you. I would prefer to give the money to you if I had money to give, What's your policy on this? Because they're sitting at our mall every day we encounter them.
Okay, so I can just promise you that the Red Cross doesn't work in Israel. In Israel, they just ask MADA, the ambulance organization, to be their representative, which they are not, obviously. Like, they have their own obligation and missions. In Israel, we just very upset about the Red Cross because they do work inside Gaza, and we ask them to provide medicines to the hostages to make sure that they are still, alive and being taken care of from their injuries while they were, were taken to inside Gaza, and they didn't do it. They didn't want to be involved. So this is the situation that the citizens of Israel feels about the Red Cross, that they don't help anyone. At the first deal to bring back hostages, they were just for us like taxi drivers to bring them to the border, and that's it. So this is about them. In Gaza, they really refuse to help Israel in any way. About the Doctors in Borders, it's a great organization. I met them during the war in Ukraine. I was there, part of United Hatzalah of Israel mission, and we worked together wonderfully. They really, really know how to work on borders in the middle of conflicts with refugees and such. Over here, the situation is that we don't have refugees from Gaza or from Israel going to Egypt or something like that. Everyone is in his own country managing the conflict. So they don't work here, the doctors. They don't even have the permission of the Ministry of Health to work because they need the Israeli license. So unfortunately, a lot of organizations just know how to, I'll say, to say that they want to do and they want to help, and maybe they are in Lebanon, in Egypt, in other countries. I don't know. Honestly, I'm focusing on my country, Israel. But here in Israel, with the medicine with the medicine issues, we have the hospitals, we have MADA, and we have United Hatzalah of Israel. That's it in saving lives. And about taking care of the bodies, we have Zaka. This is the organizations that we have.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a small country. We don't need more organizations, honestly.
Robert, please unmute.
Two questions. First question, Megan David Adam and Hatzalah in Israel. How's the connection? The second question, all around the world, people are pushing ceasefire. I mean, it's Mishugasa for a ceasefire. What's the sense behind, and not just from Gaza, Lebanon as well. And I mean, we know what they want, a ceasefire, so they agree on, but it doesn't make sense.
We don't have any ceasefire. It didn't happen. I don't see it's going to happen in the near future. About the difference with United Hatzalah and Magen David Adom, it's just different missions. MADA is the National Ambulance Organization. The ambulance will arrive any emergency call within 10 to 20 minutes, sometimes even 30 minutes, depends where in Israel. United Hatzalah is the volunteers like Uber. The nearest volunteer will be there within 3 minutes or less, stabilize the patient, and prepare him to the ambulance, and will stay with him and treat him up until the ambulance will arrive. And when we are speaking about choking baby or a CPR or a car accident with bleedings, even 10 minutes is too late. So we are the first responders to be there to save someone, and then the ambulance of MADA will arrive and take him to the hospital.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cohen, would you like to unmute, please?
Thank you very much for your very human, very courageous
Thank you.
efforts. I can assure you that back here in Australia, from a Jewish community point of view, we are all very, very proud and literally pray daily for success. But one question I'd like to ask you is, from a point of view of what you think of the population's attitude and separately the government's attitude towards Israel being able to govern Gaza and south of the Litani River when all this finishes. In other words, take control.
Honestly, I don't know, Mr. Cohen, how to answer that kind of question, because as a civilian, I know that it's inappropriate and even a risky question to answer from a civilian perspective way. I don't know the whole big picture. I don't know how to analyze the situation, the threats, the opportunity, I don't even know how to approach that, because that kind of decision is much way far than only the military perspective. It's something huge, even for the economy of Israel. So I don't even know, I'm telling you, as a civilian of Israel, how to think about it and what do I feel about it, because I know that I don't have the big picture and the whole information to be involved in that kind of decision, thoughts. I'm sorry that I don't want to be a person who just, speaking about something that he's not understanding well enough to speak about.
Yep, fair enough.
Thank you. Janine, would you like to unmute?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you so much, Linor, for sharing what you have today. And I'm reading the book at the moment, Angels in Orange, and it's very harrowing, just reading one or two stories and the miracles. So as a non-Jewish person, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I'm Israel High.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We've got a question from the chat. How is United Hatzalah responding to the conflict with Lebanon?
So we are at the north border, at the cities of Kiryat Shmona, of Nahariya, of Rosh Pina, of Metula, the Druze villages. We have volunteers just live there. And we have all the equipment needed. If something might happen, we'll escalate. So we are focusing on Israel. On the Israeli side, we are not a political organization. We are not dealing with the question if it's right or not. We just deal with saving the life of whoever needs to be saved. And we have Muslim villages and Druze villages in the north, and we are spread also on those villages. So this is what we are focusing. Our mission is to save lives, and if anything might happen, no matter where. Yesterday it was Be'er Sheva in the south. Today, now we had a terror event in Hadera. So we are just all over. We don't see any difference.
Thank you. Another question I've been asked to ask you, does United Hatzalah operate in Judea and Samaria?
So yes, the answer is yes, we are. We don't have the permission. The Israeli license driver cannot enter some of the Arab villages, but they know to call United Hatzalah and to bring over the patient. So we will take him to the hospital because United Hatzalah is free of charge. We'll never charge anyone because MADA is, and we are not going to double charge civilians. So the answer is yes. We also have a few volunteers lives there, but it's not enough. We always try to open more courses, training courses for them. Now the solution is that we meet them at the enter of the village, and from there we take them to the hospital.
Another question we had was about the funding. So maybe this is either for you or for Daria. Is it funded at all by the Israeli government, particularly when they do have government services, hospitals? How is the relationship financially?
So I can answer that the government of Israel doesn't support United Hatzalah. United Hatzalah is an NGO in Israel, and the government of Israel support the national organizations, the police, the firefighters, and MADA, the ambulance organization, which they also charge, but they receive funds from the country. Everything came from donations. 100% donations. The volunteers doesn't receive money at all. They don't need to buy anything. All the equipment, the medical equipment, the training, everything comes from donations. And I think it's a curse and a blessing. The blessing that we don't receive any funds from Israel, from the government of Israel, is that we don't need a regulation that will make us much, slower at developing technology that help us to save life. So we are the chutzpah little kid that developing and growing only because the people who love and support Israel, like all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashley, would you like to unmute?
God bless Linor and all at Angels. Is there support within the broader communities for you all and each other, and like from the whole of government and stuff? Because yeah, just heart goes out to you all. And is there a sense of well-being and all of that and support, particularly with the events and that your good selves have been through and that? Yeah.
Thank you for that, smart question. Definitely. October 7th changed the game in Israel. The way that Israel need to be prepared is nothing like October 6th. After October 7th, the government of Israel, the IDF, everyone just understood that we need to prepare ourselves to a new terror generation. And for us to be much more effective and protective, we need to understand how we can just work together, synchronize all the different organizations, the security and the security forces and the medical forces on the ground. During October 7, we just established connections that wasn't exist before. We wasn't training ourselves together with the IDF on normal basis. Now we are going to do so. We're already doing so, for example. So the acknowledgement of the Israeli government about the necessity of United Hatzalah volunteers and their crucial as a game changer is obviously understood well now after October 7. And don't forget, it's still a year that we are dealing a war. So I don't know how it's going to look like eventually and what will be planned and developing, but this is what's going on.
Thank you. Anne, would you like to unmute?
Hi, Linter. Linda, I just want to get your name correct. So I watched the documentary We Will Dance Again, and witnessing the horrors and panic that the survivors went through. How are you able to get access to these survivors when the roads were blocked by abandoned cars and Hamas terrorists safely? I don't want anyone to get hurt, but how do you get to them when there are abandoned cars on the road and terrorists shooting at random people?
So we created teams, small teams, one ambulance and one fighter crews. Okay, the Yamam, the IDF fighters, we just created small teams because if anyone survived and he was telling us, I'm still hiding, please come and help, we just open his camera to understand what's going on around him and to hear even. We ask him to send us an exact location, and we also hacked his GPS to understand the exact location. We planned the right way to approach the location, and we took fighters with us to just secure the path. So this is how we work there. We just fight on everyone who still managed to survive.
Incredible work putting yourselves on the line. Alan, would you like to unmute, please?
Yeah, thanks, and thank you, Linor. Just following on from that question, were any Hatzalah people injured during your work down south? And how do you deal with that?
As a commander, I just spread the area, which was a huge area, to different 25 sections. And I make sure that no one will know what's going on at other places, because once you realize that this is the area that you need to manage, you think that you can manage that. And you have the power to continue fighting at that exact area. But if you'll understand the big picture, that we're speaking about a huge area with over 3,000 terrorists, you might feel that it's way above me, I'm not going to handle this, and just to raise your hand. So this is one thing that we make sure the psychologist power that we need to invest in our volunteers. The second thing was, so if anyone injured, no one else know about it. We had volunteers who's been shot from terrorists. We had two who's been kidnapped to Gaza, Bar Cooperstein, who's still there, and Dolev Yahud, who eventually, after 8 months, discovered that he's been murdered and his body was just bombed in Nir Oz, the kibbutz Nir Oz. But they took his communication device of United Hatzalah inside Gaza, and this is why we had indication that he might be in between the kidnaps. We did our best. We lost volunteers. Some been injured and survived, and we still pray for their healing.
Thank
you.
It. We'll go to Dr. Danny Lamb, who is a board member of the Australian Friends of United Hatzalah of Israel. Would you like to unmute, please?
Thank you very much, and thank you for that introduction. Because we're coming towards the end, I just wanted to say a couple of words. Linor, we saw you many times on television on those nights. We were in Israel then too, and visiting our children. And you conducted yourself with great strength and amazing resilience under the circumstances. And I think all of us who heard you tonight are both connected to you, but at the same time shocked to hear the difficult circumstances that you faced. We lost volunteers down there because United Hatzalah went into a dangerous situation, and that's what happened. I want to just briefly say something, if you don't mind, David and Robert and Tennille, about the Australian chapter of United Hatzalah. We set up here to support United Hatzalah, not to in any way interfere with the fundraising and support of the local Hatzalahs certainly both in Melbourne and Sydney, but to supplement, to provide assistance to local Hatzalahs in terms of training, particularly in the areas of mental health over time, and to support United Hatzalah in Israel. United Hatzalah in Israel has got some very effective fundraising assistance, particularly in the United States and North America. Daria was instrumental in establishing the New York office and involved in the Toronto office. So when the opportunity came to engage her, she living in Sydney, we took this opportunity, and we've been operating for about a year and a half, and I'm not at liberty to now to indicate to you the extent, but there's been some very substantial fundraising, tremendous support from people in the community. We want people on this transmission to understand that local Hatzalahs need support, be you in Melbourne, be you in Sydney, but United Hatzalah has done some fantastic work, and so we're there to support them. Daria's in Sydney and is available to speak to groups, to meet with people, and she's done that already. And similarly in Melbourne, we opened up with an event in Sydney where we were honoured with John Howard as our keynote speaker, and at the home of Robert and Jennifer Gavshon. And then we had an opening in Melbourne at the home of Yossi and Nicole Herzog, and there we had Alexander Downer. Both of those people were very, very interested in what Hatzalah said, and both of them made very strong statements that appeared in the press over the last few days. So United Hatzalah Australia is here, and we look for your support. And if you're in a position to do it, and if you want to meet with Daria in Sydney, if you want to meet in Melbourne, with fellow board members, we welcome your support. Thank you, David, for the opportunity to say a few words.
All good. All good.
Thank you. Linor has received an important message from Dispatch, and we have run out of time. So we will try and let you go very quickly, Linor, but we want to say to you, thank you. And somebody summed it up very well in the chat. You are a hero. There is nothing more we can say. Just thank you for everything you have done. We are in awe of you. We are inspired by you, and you truly are a hero.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So
Goodbye, everyone. גמר חתימה טובה. Thank you. שנה טובה.
Shana Tova,
Shana Tova. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'd like to remind everybody that this has been recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel. If you're listening in on JAir tomorrow, if you pop onto our Facebook page tomorrow, the recording will be available. Please share this with your family and friends who weren't able to make it live tonight. Please share this important message, and please share our hero, Linor, who has joined us tonight. Her story needs to be heard by more people, by your family and friends, and this important message needs to get out there. To everybody, we wish you Shana Tova. We wish you the best over the upcoming fast, Gemar Chatima Tova, and we wish you the best over Sukkot. We will miss you over the next couple of weeks, but we look forward to seeing you again on October 30th, joining us for our AJ Wednesday Zoom. Good evening, everybody.